Greeting fellow modelers. Today, let's look on a kit from Kartonowa Kolekcja. I hope I pronounced it right. It is the indomitable HAWKER Hurricane, the Mk.1 series. This model was a pleasure to build. This will be in 6 parts. Here's our first part. Welcome aboard, strap in and let's go naval. So in doing the kit, the first thing you'll realize is that I've reduced it from 133 to 172nd. The plastic is just to protect it. So here's the instructions. If you follow my other build, I do reviews and in it you will see the full size kit. So here's a HAWKER Hurricane. This is a recolor that I have done, representing the naval version with that bright yellow tail fin. First thing we're going to do is cut out all fuselage formers and everything required to build a framework for the cockpit. One thing I can definitely say about this kit and the designer of the kit is that they really did their work. It was a pleasure to build. So here I'm gluing the reinforcement onto another sheet, which is a 150 gram sheet at this scale. So that way we double it. You know, honestly, I think that the HAWKER Hurricane got a raw deal. The Spitfire, with all its elegance and beauty, kept off the fighter. But the real workhorse, I figure from the Battle of Britain, was a HAWKER Hurricane. I mean, you can let me know in the comments if you agree or not. So let's assemble the cockpit. So we're going to cut out the slots. These are where we would join on the first former just behind the cockpit area. And like I said, the instructions are really easy to follow and it just went together like clockwork. Beautiful model. You see I'm using a steel rule here. That's just to keep it level and perpendicular the formwork. Here we're doing the forward arrow that will hold the instrument panel. Beautiful. And then we put on the former for the front. And basically, that's it. So here's the fun part, the cockpit detail. If anything you know about my model is I love cockpit detail. Here you see I'm putting on the base for the instrument panel. More to come on that. Then we're putting in the floorboards. And now this detail here is for the rudder pedal. And now I've gotten into the habit of using solder wire that comes in a different width in millimeters. You have 1 millimeter, half millimeter, 0.7 millimeter. These are what I use to form the different parts in it. So here you see I'm putting on the rudder pedals, put a little glue to tack it and fit in place. Now bear in mind, this kit is 1/33 scale, so you're looking on half the size of what the kit actually is, so it will be much easier for you to build. Here I'm putting in the compass. Beautiful. And now we're putting in the control column. Nice with a fancy wheel on the top of the control column, and we just put it in position. And that's it basically for it. Now we're going to put in those tubular structure that you will see on the inside of the cockpit. And we're going to be very careful when we do it. Shave and trim even in the big model as necessary for it to fit. Lovely. You see how that looks good? Great. Once we get all of that in, we're going to now put the small details on it, like the control wheel, the lever panel that's on either side. And now you see I put just a strip there to represent the lever panel, and onto the top of that strip, I am going to paint everything and then we'll just add knobs to it. And this is what I do. I just use small blobs of paint, and that will be it. Red paint, a blue paint, something to bring out the detail. And that's it. Let's put that aside. And now, my favorite part. Now you see the cockpit instrument panel here? This is what I've done with it. This was an extra copy, and I cut the holes out. Let me show you how I did the holes, okay? We're going to spend the time and do a rough cutout of the hole. Extra sharp X-Acto blade. Once I do this, I get a pencil and I slowly put it inside there and rotate it. So that way we add graphite to the edge of it to make it look realistic. And then we can just simply put this on to the panel. And that way you have a 3D view of it. Now here's the thing, when the time comes, that panel is why I'm going to leave the access door open. Have to. So here now we're cutting out the inner panel for the office area and the outer panel. Now once we clear the outer panel, we're going to put slight bends in it, and from here on out, it's going to be a lot of that, including with the cake tool. Now we're gluing only the edge of the cockpit area, so that way we can properly align the edge. We do not glue the entire thing, just the front at first. So once all of that is aligned, then we're going to spend the time to roll the top of it. This way it prevents buckling or anything and room for it to expand. Once we do that, we can then do the rest of the gluing. Now we're going to cut out our service door. You can let me know. I think it's the service door, escape panel hatch. You can let me know. Put that aside for now, and we're going to roll everything properly. This now we do a test fit. Look how it looks. Lovely. So that way we can peek into the cockpit so that we don't close all the details we see. The forward fuselage assembly now is where we're going to make sure this thing looks properly. Again, Google is your friend. So once we're doing it, we're going to search Google and look for the proper way. A matter of fact, even the kit is provided with the 3-view elevation, so you can look on it as a reference point. Spend the time to join it. We use our decorating tool to flatten. And now we're going to do the delicate part here. The forward fuselage, we're going to roll it and generally shape it in the way how the cross profile look. We then add the joiner below. We're going to hold it together. Tweezer is your best friend. Here we join everything together. We put the joiner tabs on the office, and then we check the alignment, glue into position. So here are the major tip. As far as possible without gluing onto the framework, glue all the panels together before you add to the framework, or glue as much panel as you can before you put the framework in. Look on the framework as to hold the model structure in place and to not let it deform. Other than that, the main thing is the look of the panel. Once you get the panels down, you're halfway done. And here you see I'm doing now the engine compartment area. You see how I'm forming it to almost let it look like what it would on the real deal. And we just repeat the process of putting the joiner tabs, glue together, hold. And now this part here, once we do this, we're going to put on the engine plate or the prop plate, the base plate. It's very important to double this because now we're going to reinforce and cut out. And once we cut this out, we're going to now glue firmly onto the face of it. Make sure the edges match properly, okay, and make sure it's flattened. Take the time to form it, because this is key. Remember, basically, when you do models, the first thing they look at is for prop models is the spinner, the blade, the cowling, and the canopy. Once those are fine, everything else is secondary. You see the joiner tab, I'm putting small cuts in it to allow for the curvature. And now we join. This we're going to spend the time to make sure it looks pretty decent. And here you see I'm clamping everything together, making sure that looks good. Beautiful. Once we got that, check the alignment, put the joiner tabs in there. But before we do, we use our cake decorator tool to form slight curve. Look on it this way. Paper is almost like sheet metal. You can slightly put bends and curve in there to make your model look more realistic. Once it's pressed against something that's not firm but able to give way to help with the formation of it. Small cuts in the join tab, glue, fit together, clamp, and we are good to go. Thank you so much for joining me again on one of these chapter series build of the HAWKER Hurricane. See you in the next episode where we will tackle a framework. Until then, my friends, take care, walk good, one love.